By just reading a verse from Proverbs that's not necessarily immediately related to our subject, but it definitely is an encouragement and a challenge for us before we even start, all right? Proverbs chapter 4, verses 20 to 27. My son, be attentive to my words, incline your ear to my sayings, let them not escape from your sight, keep them within your heart, for they are life to those who find them and healing to all their flesh. Keep your heart with all vigilance, for from it flow the springs of life. Put away from you crooked speech and put devious talk far from you. Let your eyes look directly forward and your gaze be straight before you. Ponder the path of your feet, then all your ways will be sure. Do not swerve to the right or to the left. Turn your foot away from evil. We are here for a reason. We're believers for a reason, and there is no coasting, really. You're growing or you're not, and he wants you to be growing and learning all the time. This is episode 2 of Asking, Seeking, and Knowing. And you may be asking the question, why do we have to talk for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks about prayer? Dave Ramsey is my answer. When people call Dave Ramsey, I have $85,000 in credit card debt and I'm driving an 87 Tercel that I owe $90,000 on and I don't know what to do. All Dave Ramsey says is, don't be stupid. He just says, don't be stupid. That's all he says. That's all he ever says, just don't be stupid. Is that true? No. Is that what we need to do, don't be stupid? Yeah. But that is not the only thing he says. He'll give you insight on buying a car, insight on buying a house or renting a house. Don't fleece a car, buy the car, right? Which I don't totally agree with him on all the time. But it's not as simple as just pray. Just pray. Jesus said, pray like this. When you pray, do this. When you pray, don't do this. It's something that we need to take the time and look at it from several different angles and aspects and challenge our hearts as to what really is going on in our lives and when we communicate with God. How do we ask? What is seeking? Seek the Lord. What does that mean? For some people, that's something they've heard their whole life. They're like, I'm just going to seek the Lord. They don't even know what it means to seek the Lord. And what does it mean to know Him? What does it mean to know God? Depart from me, I never knew you. Awesome. I could maybe go to hell for something I don't even know what it means. That's kind of scary. It's worth the time to dig into these things. We're going to talk specifically today about asking. About asking. Anybody ever seen a sign like this? Super simple. I'll tell you how this works. Every time you see this sign, it's a person who, by no fault of their own, just needs some food, and they will do whatever you would like to give them some food to do, and they'll just be thankful. Right? No. It's just complicated. Are there times when that is absolutely the case? Yes. Are they rare? Oh, yeah. I've watched video of, hey, there's this lady who's been standing on this street corner every day for like 3 or 4 months. So somebody decides to take their phone and follow her for a couple of days and see who this lady is. And they find that at the end of the day, she folds up her cardboard sign and puts the money that she's gotten into her pocket and walks about 3 blocks to a Taco Bell and gets into her BMW and drives home to her suburban house to be with her husband, who's a plastic surgeon. It happens. It happens. Now, why would I bring this up? Because what the person is asking for is money. And they're getting money. That does not really tell the story of what they're asking for and who they are and what their situation is, but it is accomplishing the goal they're trying to accomplish. Now, just to give you a little bit of insight into this, I want you to just stop and think for a minute. I'm going to do a little bit of math quick. If I stand in a place with a sign like that and dress down, a little bit dirty and look sad, now if I'm a mom and I put kids on there, way more effective, right? And again, sometimes it's true. But if I hold up a sign as a woman that says, please help me feed my kids, I'm going to get 8 times more than if I'm a guy who looks able-bodied standing there with a sign. Especially, don't to be clean-shaven. That ain't going to work, right? If I stand there and every 10 minutes somebody rolls up and hands me a $20 bill, you realize that I'm making $120 an hour. Now imagine standing on a corner on McKinley Parkway by Wegmans as a female with a sign that says, please help me feed my kids. Do you think you're going to wait 10 minutes for a $20 bill? No way. You may have a $20 bill every 3 minutes. At that rate, a person can make more than an attorney an hour. Tax-free. Right. What are we asking for? And how are we asking for things? Do we come to God at times and ask Him from a perspective where we're not really being honest with ourselves as to what we're asking for and why we're asking for it, right? Now, I will tell you that there's times when people with legitimate need will go and ask for money in this way and maybe help me feed my kids and they don't have any, but they do have a legitimate need. That absolutely does exist. There are people who are in desperate need who do this for money as almost a last resort. It's not the majority, but it does happen. But I knew this is something you have seen before, and it is complicated. I want to look at the book of James. We're going to look at 3 or 4 different scripture passages today and just break some details out of them, okay? What causes quarrels and what causes fights among you? Is it not this, that your passions are at war within you? You desire and do not have, so you murder. You covet and could not obtain, so you fight and quarrel. You do not have because you do not ask. You ask and do not receive because you ask wrongly to spend it on your passions. So this actually says that there are times when we ask and we don't get what we ask for. So that does happen. You adulterous people, do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Therefore, whoever wishes to be a friend of the world makes himself an enemy of God. Or do you suppose it is to no purpose that the scriptures say he yearns jealously over the Spirit that he has made to dwell in us? But he gives more grace. Therefore it says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Draw near to God, and he will draw near to you. Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts, you double-minded. Be wretched and mourn and weep. Let your laughter be turned to mourning, and your joy to gloom. Humble yourselves before the Lord, and he will exalt you. This story that we heard from Jesse earlier today, has Love Inc. come alongside her and helped her in a couple of situations? Absolutely. Has our church done the same thing? Yes. But I will tell you that her life is an example of this type of attitude. God is saying, hey, there's some messed up things, and they need to change. But you're asking me from a perspective of selfishness. You want the things that are uncomfortable to be changed in your life for you, but what you don't want is to sit before me and let me peel back all the layers and help you understand what's wrong and what needs to be fixed so this doesn't have to be your life. Throwing money at problems like that will not fix them because the problem is deeper than the immediate need, okay? Is every situation everybody finds themselves in completely a product of their own doing? No. But probably 60 to 70% of every situation most of the time has a lot to do with just what did they learn growing up? What do they know? What do they not know? What are their habits in all things? We all have things that we handle in ways that just aren't healthy. They're not smart and they're not the way God would have us do it. But I have heard in every time where I have been a part of reaching out to just help through a sticky spot with Jesse, when their building was condemned, there was food in the freezer, that food was lost. And now all of a sudden there's a need outside of her control where there's a need for food. And does that need, we find a way to meet that need. And it's a short-term find a solution to that need every single time. You guys have helped me so much. I don't want people to have to help me. I just want to be done with that. I want to help people. I don't want to be the one getting. I want to be the one helping. And she's learning, and she's being challenged in her life. The day the whole thing happened with the landlord, right? The landlord shows up, get out, borrowing, whatever. And Jessie has had situations in her life where she's been mistreated, where she's had the leverage of higher status in society and wealth just kind of push her out of the way. That's happened. And so she's put in this spot where like somebody's trying to take her life away from her and her possessions and just push her out of where she's living. And her brain says, survival mode, I am going to kick some serious butt right here. Okay? Miss Sarah's with her. She calls Miss Sarah the Jesus ninja. She says, Miss Sarah jumped in there, and she's like, no. So a fight didn't happen, which was great. And a couple minutes later, Jim called me, hey, something's going on. Can you go over there, see what's going on? You know, Jesse and this and the landlord. I pull up in my car in the parking lot, and the first thing I hear is, oh. Like the last person on earth she wanted to see in her state of rage was her pastor. Okay? But what did I say? Do you think I don't know you're a human being? Like, you think I never get mad about everything? Hey, we're family. We go through these things together. And I'm here to say, listen to me, no one's taking your life away. You're his kid. And there may be a tight spot, but we're going to get through it. In 2 days' time, this is going to be over. Let's figure out how we're going to handle this in a responsible way. And we did. We did. Right? But I mean, sometimes we all need to be honest and say, I don't really want to be here right now. You know, I'm not offended if there's a Sunday here where you'd rather just like, I just really don't want to hear this. I don't like surrendering my life. I don't like laying things down. I don't like God grabbing the shovel and digging into the pile of whatever and being like, hey, how about if we change that? Better yet, how about if I have your wife mention that you need to change that? That'll work great. But that's what he does. You think your spouse wasn't put in your life to help dig up the junk? Guess what, baby? God attached you to them so you couldn't get away when they pulled the shovel out. That's how that works. Okay? Kids are the same way. God made them cute so you keep them long enough till they can tell on you. That's how that works. I'm telling you, you laugh about it, you know it's true. This section of Scripture, it seems like we read a lot. And the point was, well, you don't have when you ask because you ask to spend it on your own passions. But then he follows it up and says, let's get this thing real. Let's get this thing straight. Why don't you turn your eyes to me, and why don't you turn away from your sin and all these passions, and why don't you begin to see who I am and what I say, and line your life up with what I say about this world, and I say about your family, and I say about your kids and your finances, and what you ought to be, and what you ought to do, and what your priorities ought to be. And you're going to find that all of a sudden, as you humble yourself before the Lord, he begins to exalt the steps of your way and bring health into it. The tough part is that he needs to change who you are, not what you do. Because what you do can't change who you are, but who you are will always dominate what you do. Anybody can behave when their wife is around, right? I go into Quick Fill, my wife's with me, I am not buying peanut butter sandwich cookies. This is not happening. She's not with me, odds change a little bit, right? Because if I'm not going to get caught misbehaving, everybody knows your kids, when they're little, if there's a 0.1% chance they could get away with it, it's worth the risk, right? Randy used to say, it's far easier to get forgiveness than permission, right? So we'll just forego the permission and we'll bank on the forgiveness and hope it doesn't involve wood on a butt cheek. Okay. Let's go to another section of Scripture. Matthew chapter 6. But when you pray, we're talking about asking. This is the attitude of how we ask, okay, and how we're living. When you pray, go into your room, shut the door, pray to your Father who's in secret, and your Father who sees in secret will reward you. When you pray, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think that they will be heard for their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. Anybody ever have a moment in prayer where you're like, that's not totally honest, I got to reword that because he knows. Lord, I just want to serve you. That's not true. I want this to not be this way. How do I reword this so he sees me as pious and honest, but I still get what I want? We go through these hoops in prayer. I find myself sometimes when I'm in like a series, like I need him, I will like start to pray and pause, and I'll starting and I'll pause again, and it's just like surrender, 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 surrender. And I'll find myself, my prayer will be this: God, you know the depth of the corruption that my heart is as a human being, and I'm going to say it. Yes. I don't want you to do this and that. I just don't. I'm afraid you're going to do this, and I'm afraid it's going to hurt. I'm afraid people are going to hate me, but I'm just going to take it and be like, God, it hurts. There it is. Do what pleases you, and do what will prosper my heart, what will make me like you, and it's just a surrender. When you pray, do not heap up empty words. Okay, I already read this one, didn't I? Pray then like this: Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Your kingdom come, your will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we also have forgiven our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Some of you remember a series we did just on the Lord's Prayer. It was like 5 messages long. And we broke down the Lord's Prayer. And here's what we're praying. Lord, you are separate from me. You are holy. You are set apart. You are pure. You are something that I am not. Lord, let your will be done, not mine. I recognize that my heart wants things that you don't desire, and I'm saying, let your will be done, not mine. You're the boss. What you want, not mine. Lord, give me today what I need. With a highlighter on need. Our daily bread. It sounds funny, but he doesn't pray, Lord, give me today my daily double Whopper value meal, supersized with a piece of cheesecake, and, that's my favorite. It's just bread. Give us our daily bread. And then he says this: Lord, please forgive me, but don't let me off the hook for not forgiving others. Who prays that? I mean, seriously, does that make sense to be like, Lord, forgive me to the level of mercy that I give everybody else? I don't want to pray that. There's people I don't like, right? Why would I want? But this is how Jesus says to pray. Ask me to forgive you while you look at the person you're unwilling to forgive. That's what I want you to do. He's asking us to think of the people who have debts against us when we ask him to forgive us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. The assumption is made that you're going to follow him. If you ask somebody to lead you, kind of assume that you're going to look at them and follow them, right? So I can't lead you if you don't follow. But the whole focus of this prayer that Jesus says, pray like this, is that it's not about me and my need. It's about me coming to understand his perspective of my life, in my day, in my daily needs, in my need for forgiveness of sin, in the fact that I'm going to follow something, in the fact that my heart wants to be the king of the world. That's what Jesus is talking about here. He's telling us how to pray from an attitude standpoint. He didn't say pray this. He said pray like this. Right? This is a prayer of surrender. This is a prayer of dependence. This is a prayer of acknowledging your sin before him and your need for him to be all the things you can't be. 1 Kings 3. I got to tell you a little story. This week, Rooted's going on in the other building, and I'm on kid duty. So I got 8 or 9 kids. We're having some fun over here, and we turn on Superbook. Quick pitch. If you don't have access to rightnowmedia.org, we have a subscription as a church, and they allow us to give you a membership for free. It costs us about $80 a month. There's 15,000 Bible study videos and a huge amount of kids content. Superbook is one of the pieces of content, and it is top-notch kids, cartoon, Bible stories. So we watched one story about Solomon. I had a dream this week that was just a troubling situation. And in that dream, I stopped and I just said, God, I don't know what to do here. I know what my heart wants to do. It wants to grab control and just force the way I want things to be, but I don't know what to do, and I'm just surrendering it to you. Please give me wisdom. Please let me know what's right and wrong and what you want. I learned that watching a Superbook video with the 5 and 6-year-old kids in the side room. Okay? Like, that impacted me this week. Here's a story with Solomon. Solomon loved the Lord, walking in the statutes of David his father, only he sacrificed and made offerings at the high places. And the king went to Gibeon to sacrifice there. He was the king, by the way. For that was the great high place. Solomon used to offer 1,000 burnt offerings on that altar. At Gibeon, the Lord appeared to Solomon in a dream by night, and God said, ask what I shall give you. And Solomon said, you have shown great and steadfast love to your servant David, my father, because he walked before you in faithfulness, in righteousness, and in uprightness of heart toward you. Was David totally blameless in his life? Nope. And you have kept for him this great and steadfast love, and have given him a son to sit in his throne this day. And now, O Lord, my God, you have made your servant king in place of David, my father. Although I am but a little child, I do not know how to go out or come in. And your servant is in the midst of your people, whom you have chosen, a great people, too many to be numbered or counted for multitude. Give your servant, therefore, an understanding mind to govern your people, that I may discern between good and evil. For who is able to govern this, your great people? It pleased the Lord that Solomon had asked this, and God said to him, because you have asked this, and have not asked for yourself long life or riches or life of your enemies, but have asked for yourself understanding to discern what is right. Behold, I now do according to your word. Behold, I give you a wise and discerning mind, so that none like you has been before you, and none like you shall arise after you. I give you also what you have not asked, both riches and honor, so that no other king shall compare with you all your days. And if you will walk in my ways, keeping my statutes and my commandments as your father David did, David walked, then I will lengthen your days. What we have to realize in this situation is that Solomon asked for something that gave him no immediate control. What he asked for was for God to show him what was right and what was wrong, and that he would give him wisdom to govern a people. Here's a crazy thing. Rewind in history a little bit. Occasionally in Israel's history, they would have a ruler who was just. And actually, we're going ahead in history here, not back. The kings that really served the Lord were not necessarily popular. They weren't loved. People didn't want to do what was right a lot of times, and kings faced a lot of guff from their kingdom. People didn't want to do what was right. Solomon was not asking for easy, but he knew that God had put him in a place to rule a people and that his responsibility was huge, and he just wanted God to have his way in that place. Solomon's heart knew that the most important thing was God's perspective, God's desire. And he actually is asking the same thing his father asked for. David in Psalm 139 says, Lord, search my heart and know me. Show me if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in your way everlasting. Solomon asks for the same thing. Lord, show me, give me an understanding of what is right and what is wrong, and give me the wisdom to govern your people. Why do we ask? What are we asking for? Is the focus on what we'd really like? Or is the focus of our prayer an ever-growing surrender to what it is that would glorify Him? What glorifies Him is many times not going to be what's easy today. Sarah's dad used to say, just obey your way out of it. When you get in a jam, you just want the jam fixed. Whatever it takes, I just want out of this spot today. But the best thing you can do is seek the Lord's face in that spot and obey your way out of it. He has a path out. It's almost never straight up the wall. It's through the valley. Learning what got you there and how to not come there again. That's how He does it. I think we've all been in Walmart with this child. Listen, Chips Ahoy are a big deal. Okay, I think those are fudge stripe. They are worth the fight. But this is us. This is us. I want to ask you, what are the things that this child does not see in his valiant fight for what is rightfully his to have? What does he not see? You know, that's amazing. He can't see the floor because he's laying on it. But there are moms in this place like, that floor is filthy. Get up. He doesn't care. Some kid puked there like 10 minutes ago. He don't care, man. We're talking cookies here. We got a washing machine. This is cookies. He does not see that if his mom feeds his passion, 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 he will grow up to be a person who believes that the world around him's job is to feed his passion. And if his passion doesn't get fed, UN's on the speed dial. This is a human rights violation. Is that kid going to have a happy life? Healthy life? No. Not unless he likes having his picture taken with a number on a board. I'm saying? Because a lot of times that's where it goes. Is he aware of the real world in that place? You think he's thinking about the dentist? Nope. Or his health? Do you think he is considering the social impact on his poor mom at this moment? There are 3 mid-70s ladies well-dressed in that aisle, purposely doing their best to not look. His mom is stressed, I'm just going to say. You know what his mom needs? His mom needs a mom, especially an advanced and experienced mom, maybe with a different hair color, to walk up and be like, you go, Mom. You got this. That's what his mom needs. Or some mom to be like, you don't know nothing. Just to be like, you know what? It's okay to be a human being. Sometimes moms or dads in this situation just need somebody to be like, hey, been there. You got it. I can remember a handful of times following a parent out of our toy store to say, awesome job. You did the right thing. You did the right thing for your kid. It cost me a sale, so come back another time. But you did the right thing by your kid. Bravo. Good job. And I would try to help them sometimes. Be like, yes, that's not for sale. The candy bar just all expired right there. I didn't pull it off the shelf. Now, here's the thing. This is what we look like a lot of times. This is what our world is beginning to look like. Not only are they convinced that the God of the Bible is not fair and he's a mean bully who killed a lot of innocent people in the Old Testament, but they are ready to fight him. And they are ready to drop the gloves and start swinging and start accusing God of wrongdoing. This is the world we're beginning to live in. To be unaware of that would be a disservice. This is the world we're living in. So as you're sharing your faith, know this. Know this. People sometimes are coming at it to begin with a really sour taste because they have a totally skewed view of what God really is. Right? We got people who are ready to start fighting God. So when we talk about asking, it matters what you're asking for. You could pray for the same thing 3 different ways. One could be, God, just fix this problem. If you're real, just fix it. If you want me to know that you're real, pay my car off. Or you could say, Lord, I'm really in this spot, and I just really don't know why I'm here. Please help me to know why I'm here. And I don't know what to even ask you for. I don't know if I should ask you to fix this or help me to fix it or what. And you can come at it from, Lord, show me where I went wrong in this if I did. And Lord, I just want to submit to you. And if I have to look bad to people or whatever, just make this what you really want it to be. And I don't think any parent that has a kid come to them saying, I messed up, and I maybe don't even know how I really, or what I did, but I know that I did something wrong, and I want you to help me to know what I did wrong, because I don't want to do that again. And if I have to be punished or I have to go through some hard time to make it right, that's okay, I'll do that. I just don't want to be here again. Please help me to do better. What parent's going to push a child away? What parent's not going to have compassion? If he is hearing your prayer, how much more compassionate and merciful is he than I could ever be to my kids? His word says he has plans for you. In your best day, he has plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future. On your worst day, when he's pulling the paddle back, he's saying, son, daughter, I got plans for you. My plans are to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future. I'm going to suggest that he says, I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you, because there are times when we could misread it as harm. Why would he say that? Why would a dad or a mom ever say, listen, your punishment actually is going to hurt me more than it hurts you? Why would you say that? Because there's a chance that they could think you hate them, that you don't love them, that they're just not good enough and you're mad and you're going to take it out on them. You say that because there's a risk of them misreading it. That's why God says, I have plans to prosper you, not to harm you. Plans to give you hope in a future, because we can misread his hand and the path he brings us down as a plan to harm us. But it's never that. His plan is to prosper us. It's all about perspective and surrender. He hears every request. But be aware of where you're coming from, what you want to spend the request on, and what he's trying to do in your life. This world is a breath, it's a moment, and he is the creator, the king, the owner, and for thy pleasure they were created. You weren't created for your pleasure. You were created for his. And the crazy thing is, when you figure that out, guess what you find? Pleasure. The only safe place to be is in the center of his will. And there's peace found there that you can't find anywhere else. If you've never felt it, I can't hand it to you. You got to go there, right? It's the pizza rule. Who knows the pizza rule? The pizza rule is, if you've ever eaten oatmeal your whole life and you like it, you're satisfied. How canst I convince thou of the goodness of pizza? I cannot forthwith. The only way that's going to get figured out is if you plug a slice of pizza in your mouth and eat it. You have to experience what pizza is. The peace of God and his plan for your life is the same thing. It falls under the pizza rule. I can tell you how good it is, but until you put it in your life and feel it and experience the goodness of God, you do not know what I'm talking about.